you want to show resilience to your team, because if you don't, your whole team will fall apart.
People are not moved to make change until their misery factor exceeds their fear factor. You know what I'm saying?
Because you know, if somebody can get under your skin by talking enough trash, they start throwing them cards down. You know, then that kind of get your blood boiling. So
or getting back to my partner and saying, "Hey, my bad. Listen, I dropped it. I missed that. Such, man. I've been drinking this brown, and we were over here talking, and I missed the fact that this laid out, and so on and so forth." And
have to do is establish the rules of the table, right? What's the big joker? What's the little joker? Are deuces wild? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? Is it straight up? The first hand going blind? I mean, all of this stuff has to be established.
Man. I'm excited, y'all. Welcome. My name is Ernest Coleman III. I'm the founder of E. Howard Co., a management consulting firm offering strategy, facilitation, and guidance to change makers in this world of social venture and philanthropy and making good things happen in the world. I really came up with the idea to put this event together after listening to a podcast with Arlen Hamilton and Stacey Abram. And they had a really, really dope conversation about Stacey's approach to leadership and the strategy and sort of where that comes from. And a part of their conversation was about the idea of, you know, how folks talk about chess as a strategy game that inspires their leadership. And Stacey called out the fact that it's a little bit of chess and it's a little bit of spades. And I thought it would be cool to have a table full of people who are leading in a way that I admire, to have a conversation about the lessons they learned from the spades table. So I'm excited to bring some incredible people here today to share with y'all. We got an hour, so I don't want to waste too much time. Like I said, we are recording. So recording of this meeting, this conversation will be online for the folks who are here just to listen and engage. I appreciate you all being here. Go ahead and put in the chat. Tell us where you're coming from. Tell us about, hey, what's your experience with spades? Do you know how to play spades? And if you don't know how to play spades, why you don't know how to play spades? Put that in the chat. That's what I want to know.
You know,
Because we gonna get into that. Throw some fire in the chat, throw some spades in the chat, all that good stuff, man. We gonna dive right in. First things first, we're gonna start with some introductions. I'm gonna run down everybody's bio real fast, just a quick brief snippet, and then I'm gonna give the folks on this discussion, this roundtable, a chance to sort of introduce themselves. So let me start it off like this. We have my good brother, Kelly Saunders, joining us. Kelly is a dynamic force behind elevating transitioning service members. He's serving as a founder and executive director of that organization with a proven track record in project management and strategic planning. He brings a unique blend of expertise to the leadership team. So excited to have him here with us. Ayodele Harrison is a visionary leader with a deep commitment to racial equity and a proven track record in program management and leadership development. He's a senior partner at Community Build Ventures. He leads their strategic efforts to equip Black, Indigenous, and people of color leaders to elevate and sustain inclusive work environments where their teams accomplish more working together than isolation. We got the good doctor, Shakir Abdullah. He's the founder and lead consultant for Practical Diversity Associates. It's a full service leadership, diversity, and equity, inclusion, and belonging firm established in 2011. He spent more than 20 years in higher education, worked at nearly every level of the field, earned his undergrad from Wittenberg University, got a master's, got the doctorate. His education is all over the place, including Cairo, Egypt, and Lancaster, England. Shout out to my man's being on the call. Let's see who else we got on here, man. Davion. Brother Davion Vaughn, over 20 years of experience in the safety and security sector, carved out an impressive career dedicated to promoting safety and fostering leadership as the former VP of safety at a Fortune 500 company, left a legacy that highlights the importance of leadership and values in corporate culture. And we've got the brother Kewan Drayton, recently named 2022 Entrepreneur of the Year by the Savannah Chamber of Commerce. He's an innovative entrepreneur dedicated to community organizer, a dedicated community organizer and business consultant. His consulting expertise lies in developing impactful business strategies for early stage startups, often using proven, inexpensive guerrilla marketing techniques. Who did I miss? Did I get everybody? I feel like I got everybody. Yo, keep on. Yeah, we good. We gonna get into it, man. I appreciate everybody being here. All these brothers, I really just reached out to them and everybody said yes. So I feel blessed to have y'all here, man. I appreciate everybody making the time to join this conversation. What I want to do is go ahead and dive in with a chance for y'all to introduce yourselves and tell the folks who are joining us what your story is with Spades, man. You know how to play. If you don't know how to play, why you don't know how to play? Keywan, why don't you kick us off, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'll kick us off. First, it's great to be on the call with a bunch of other solid black men. So happy to be in this space right here. With Spades, man, I have a love-hate relationship with it because there's not too many things that can make me act out of character more than being at a Spades table with a bunch of other people that don't do nothing but talk a lot of trash. My biggest annoyance is because what Spades thing is that like there is a lot of strategy, but it's also a mental game because if somebody can get under your skin by talking enough trash, they start throwing them cards down. Then that kind of get your blood boiling. So then next thing you know, you end the game, the whole table flipped over, and somebody about to fight. It gets wild, but that's my relationship with Spades, man. I have to make sure if I know I'm going into a Spades game, I gotta meditate the day before, make sure I'm in a good headspace because I can't, it's like not like you can do much after that.
Hey, you gotta be ready, man. You
You
gotta
gotta
stay
be
ready,
ready.
so you ain't gotta get ready. That's all.
You know it.
Hey, Kelly, go ahead and jump in, man. What you know about some Spades, sir?
Yeah, first, I just want to thank you for, inviting me to this forum. I really appreciate it, Ernest. And thank you all for, this being a part of this. I'm looking forward to hearing different perspectives on leadership. But Spades, ironically, it's like the first time I had played Spades was in the Marine Corps when I was in the field. And it was embarrassing because all the Black Marines was like, man, you don't know how to play spades? And I was like, man, like don't pull my black card, right? But it was one of those learning experiences of, it just learning something new. There's different strategies on different games. Like he was mentioning before, Ernest, Stacey Abrams was talking about, yeah, there's chess, but there's spades as well. Um, but it's just learning the different perspectives and different strategies where you can win the game. So, but yeah, but with me, I feel like giving veterans, because that's my organization, helping transitioning veterans elevate to their next level, is giving them the tools and the strategies to proceed to that new level of leadership. So,
I love it, man. I love
yeah,
it. Good stuff.
yeah,
I
for sure.
appreciate you. Hey, Deli, I know you know
Yeah.
a little bit of something.
Well, no, I appreciate it. Like I'm gonna go back a little bit. So for me, my relationship began with watching the adult table at family functions. And for those of you who aren't familiar, I mean adult table, kids at a table, adults at a place. I think, nowadays things are a little different where, kids are with adults a lot more, but there was a pecking order. And this was growing up in Seattle. And I just remember that it was playing spades was a family event, was an adult event. My uncles, my mom, my aunts, my grandma. But one thing is that we could not play it when my grandfather was present because
Mm.
sometimes history is it's not always clear what was. But what I learned was that my grandfather's brother had some challenges with gambling and cards, and so that was something that my grandfather did not allow. So my relationship was it wasn't secretive, but it was just kind of like we would play out back or somewhere else, or just not when when my grandfather was over. And it's learning spades was what we felt to be our rites of our right, one of our rite of passages, right? Is just kind of like getting up to that. And it began with learning how to shuffle. That was the first thing you had to learn how to do. And so we as kids, if we were sitting next to the table, we had to learn how to shuffle first and then watch the table and grow in that way. So I would say that that's where it began for me. And some people were like, man, y'all play, there's black people in Seattle. I'm like, yeah, it was me and my cousins, and we were playing spades up in Seattle. That's
That's
what
it.
we were.
I love it, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Davion,
All
you
right.
don't play no
So
spades. You don't play no spades, bro.
hey, I do play spades, man, and I'm one of the guys that definitely get under your skin when we playing spades, man. I've been notorious for that,
I'm
man. I
seeing you.
always been one of those people, man, that like study the people I'm playing, and I'm like, okay, I know how to get you. So, um, and to be honest with you, man, I started playing spades with my mother and my grandmother. And man, you talking about learn how to talk stuff, man. Like, man,
Indeed.
I have literally played spades with my children, with my mother, you know what I'm saying? Like all at the same table, you know what I'm saying? So my family space is a big, big, big deal, man. I'm talking about it's more important than who made the who made the mashed potatoes. You know what I'm saying? I mean the
Yep.
potato salad,
Yep.
my bad. You know what I'm saying? Like at my house, it's important. Super
I
duper important.
got you. I got you. Okay. Okay. We take it serious over here now.
Man.
Shakir,
So peace.
tell me you was playing spades over there in Cairo, over
Listen,
there in
listen.
England. What was like? Let me know.
No, so I'm gonna say peace, everybody. Ernest, certainly appreciate the opportunity to vibe with the brothers and talk about spades. And for me, it's beautiful to hear the different stories of how folks came into spades. I was probably later than some other folks, but it was a tool for me. When I got to college, spades was what helped me to communicate and talk to people because I was a shy kid coming to out of high school. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but then you learn how to play spades. You're sitting at the table, you're in the mix, you're talking to people, you got you got to develop your communication skills. You get to watch the table, you get to watch the people around you. And I think that's one of the pieces that comes from it. It's just a leadership development tool because it's not only the act of participation, but it's the act of communication, right? You're not only talking to the people at the table, you can't talk across the table. You got to make sure that you're talking to the people beside you and they got questions for you and the spotlight's on you in that moment. So you have a chance to learn how to communicate, right? And figure out, okay, well, this is a tool I can use to break the ice if I have some issues communicating. And I know for me, I had challenges communicating, especially with young ladies. So spades was a great tool to open that door for me. So I can appreciate everybody's spades stories. Mine came in college, started in college, and it kind of went from there. And I honestly can't say we was playing spades in Egypt or in England because it wasn't enough of us. I'll say that.
Okay. Yeah, tight knit community. That's how we go. How we gonna
Right.
put.
Oh, and let me be clear, it wasn't enough of us that knew how to play spades because there were all those places we were all there. You know what I'm
I
saying?
got
Black
you.
folks are everywhere, so don't misconstrue that.
Oh man, you was almost a spades missionary, man. You should have been out there. You had to be out there teaching everybody how to shuffle, man.
I wanted to leave a good impression, brother.
It's all good. It's all good. I think a couple really powerful points came out, and just these stories of how we get introduced to the game and how the game really impacts the people that we become. And so there's a few points that I want to like lean in on. One of them being communication strategies. All right, so effective communication is key to winning in spades. And I'm wondering about what communication techniques you use to make sure your team stays on the same page, especially if you have really complex projects going on. Now, ideally, I know you're building what I'm looking at as a pretty complex organization. Now, you may see it and think like, nah, man, it's not that deep. But when I look at it, brother, first I'm inspired, but also like, how do you communicate effectively to make sure that what needs to happen does happen as this thing comes into fruition?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, thank you for that question. Leading Black Men Educators Talk, which is a charitable initiative to really create, curate, and rich spaces for Black men educators to connect, grow, and lead. I think what I'm learning is that a few things. Clarity is kindness. The clearer you can be in your communication, that's kindness. And then also just setting the foundation for communication in the beginning is really important. So as a consultant, one of our practices is like when we're beginning to launch a project, we sit down and we have a project kickoff meeting where it's a 2 hour meeting. We go over the scope of work, the intentions for the project, present a timeline, and then we also discuss communication styles, like how are we going to communicate? And if challenging situations come up or whatnot might there, we actually discuss that before we or as we're kicking the project off and not right in the middle of things. So I think that, using a project kickoff meeting is something that helps us to have clarity in the beginning, which we see as being kind to folks. So that's one of the ways that we're able to really enhance communication skills to make sure that our team is effective and stays on the same page.
Yeah, that's deep. I love it, man. I love it. It's that idea of clarity as a form of kindness, I think is really, really powerful. I never thought about it that way, but like keeping people on the same page, like it's more than just effective communication. It's about actually it's a way of sustaining the relationships that get developed across the organizations that we lead. Now, QI,
Yeah.
I know you're doing a handful of different things, and it seems like you got like a number of things boiling at the same time. What does it look like for you as somebody who's leading across so many different stages?
Yeah, man. Like for me, especially as a young leader, because I think I may be like the youngest one on the call. I mean, I'm 29 years old, so I'm still constantly learning a lot about my leadership style and my leadership techniques. And I mean, if I'm being really, really honest, so I'm learning new things like every single day, just because you know, for me is it comes down to relationships and experiences. So the same way in business, you ideate, you find a way to bring the product to market in the cheapest way possible. I'm trying to learn everything as fast as I can and figure out how I can take those things that I learn and incorporate it into my own style. So that's something that I'm pivotal. I try to do within the realm of work that I'm in.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff. Davion, now you was in them corporate spaces, man. That's a whole nother environment, brother. What's the communication looking like over there? Don't forget to hit that mute button now.
My bad. I'm over here ready to go, and I'm on mute. But so what I'll say about the corporate space is, it's a lot of shadow boxing that happens. You know what I'm saying, in the corporate space. You dealing with um a lot of smoke and mirrors. So me as a leader, when I first, I went from being somebody that this particular company didn't want to hire 20 years before. You know what I'm saying, to like literally coming in and you know I wouldn't say taking over, but once I learned what I need to learn, and I saw like what the game plan was, I knew how to hit the lane and hit the hole and get what I need to get. And so and it was all based off my communication style. You know what I mean? I was talking to people who don't look like us, you know what I'm saying, didn't want us to be at the table. But because, you know what I'm saying, of the charisma and strategic placement that I was putting myself in and having the ability to communicate to those people, um, it became an asset for them, you know what I'm saying? Like where I could get men and women to do things that they could never get them to do. You know what I mean? So there was a level of respect that came from my ability to communicate that allowed me to kind of catapult myself past a lot of people that look like me, that look like, other people. But they just looked at that as like a bargaining tool. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
so just like in spades, you're not supposed to talk across the table, but you still kind of talk across the table. You know what I'm saying? So,
That's it.
you know,
That's
oh
it,
yeah.
man. Nah, like that's one of the things where it's like, yeah, you're not supposed to talk about across the table, but like we realize communication is so key and being able to take over the game. Like, if you want to run the table, you're gonna have to figure out what communication looks like for y'all. And I think even deeper than that is trust, right? So that's another piece I want to get into is like trust is a really crucial part of the game of spades, but also like a really crucial part of leadership in general. How can leaders build and maintain trust within a team to foster effective collaboration, but like especially in these high stakes situations, like what Kelly's got going on, where you're building an organization that has such a powerful mission, right? So Kelly, I'm curious to know for you, like, what does it look like to build trust quickly and effectively in this type of space?
Um, it's a lot, man. I'm not gonna lie. So it's vetting people through. So you have to do a lot of interviews. So not everybody you meet at a networking event is going to be that one person that you're going to just, all right, let's come with me and we're going to get it done. You have to go through, just like if you're at a corporation, you have to interview people. You have to put them in through a process in order to get a good candidate to be able to help you with your mission. So for one, knowing your audience in terms of communication, knowing their roles, their needs, their interests, their knowledge skills. So for right now, I have a board of about five veterans and veteran advocates. I mixed it up a little bit because we're trying to portray the message of civilians helping veterans, veterans helping civilians, right? Because I don't want to get to a point where a lot of veteran organizations are just veteran oriented and they just focus on veterans. Where why can't we be a community? Why can't veterans lead in a community? In a community, why can't veterans go to a school and teach or mentor or anything like that? So, getting back to your point is, finding a good candidate to be down with the mission of helping veterans. Like my mission is to help veterans transition from point A to point B and so on, right? So yeah, having clear objectives on that too.
Yeah, I got you.
Makes
I got
sense.
you. I think about in the context of like building relationships quickly,
Mhm.
Shakir, I think about the work that you're doing in terms of like coming into these organizations and trying to have an impact on the work that they're doing. And what does it look like for you to like, that person that shows up to the spades table and everybody kind of like, who's you, man? How do you show up and build trust and like well, I guess what role does trust play in the work that you do?
No, trust is essential. The work I do in Practical Diversity Associates is really just helping organizations reach their diversity goals. And I'm framing myself as a DEI optimist because I know that even with all the pushback against DEI, we're going to benefit from learning from each other and we're going to be better together once we understand each other. So when we think about spades, one of the first things that we have to do is establish the rules of the table, right? What's the big joker? What's the little joker? Are deuces wild? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? Is it straight up? The first hand going blind? I mean, all of this stuff has to be established. And this is much like what Ayodele was talking about when you had that initial meeting with your client. You got to set the terms of engagement, right? And so when you set the terms of engagement, when people understand how you play, or so we play like this, okay, so you're introducing a part of your cultural norms into who I am and what I'm going to do. All right, I'm gonna adjust to your norms. Well, we play it like this, so we're gonna play this way today. So we're adjusting to each other's norms. We're getting to know each other, but we all understand the rules. We've established the rules. We've set the ground work, and now we know. And so, yeah, you're probably gonna find a partner. You're gonna get to know some folks who aren't really ready to be at the table, but in the sense of building community, you play with them anyway and be like, you cutting, you do you know, whatever it is. You don't have a shared language where you can talk across the table. So you need to establish that either after failing or after being successful. Y'all might get lucky, y'all might run to Boston, or whatever it is. You're like, oh, I'm always playing with you. I didn't even know you had that. And I wouldn't have known if I didn't take the chance. If I said, I'm just going with what I know, I'm not taking that risk. I'm not going to get a chance to do well. But then y'all might fail. And it's like, okay, we failed because this, and the third, but you can do that debriefing after the game. So Spades is a great metaphor for leadership development, the process of playing a game and the process of being successful in terms of winning a game. Sometimes you're not going to win your hands, but you're going to make a friend, right? All that stuff is there. So I appreciate the metaphor of Spades being a tool for leadership. And these are the things, and these are some of the ways that communication, I think, plays a great role in Spades and in leadership development.
Man, that's a bar. You said sometimes you don't win the hand, but you make a friend. You know what? I think there are people who would appreciate that, and a group of people who be like, "Nah, man, you gotta get up off the table."
But at least now people know who you are, even if you got to get up.
I love it though, man. So where my mind goes as you're talking about the idea of like there's value in the game, there's value in the play, there's value in the learning and coming together. And it took my mind to this concept of collective intelligence. And Ideli, I'm super curious about your perspective on this piece. In Spades, understanding your partner's strengths and weaknesses is like it's really important for the success of the game. How can leaders leverage the collective intelligence of the team and use that to drive innovation and impact? Because it's not just about what the leader of the organization brings to the table, but how the team works together.
Yeah, I mean, what comes to mind with this is the African proverb that I use quite a bit. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Right. And so that collective intelligence is an idea that we can achieve more by working together, by bringing our lived experiences, our cumulative knowledge, our expertise, our passions to the table collectively to solve problems, to achieve, various tasks. And so with collective intelligence, it really believe, there's a structure that can come with it, right? Because you can't just say, okay, everybody pull up the table, here we go, dump your ideas, let's go. It helps if there is a framework for it. And some of the research shows, and some of the things that I've used is that with collective intelligence to be able to engage it, there's like three components that we have to be aware of. So one component is having collaborators. Like there has to be a collective of people that you're going to be working with. The other thing is that there are group agreements. So some people call them community agreements, some people call them norms, but it's basically a way that we're going to interact with each other and hold ourselves to be our best selves in community with one another. Because great ideas, great challenges can come, but we have to push ourselves to be our best selves for the group itself. And so that's group agreements. And then the third thing is you gotta have you have to have what we call a protocol or strategy for engagement, right? How are we going to invite this intelligence into the space? And then how are we going to organize it in a way that is equitable and allows voices to be heard? And sometimes, I talk about this thing where there's a balance between equity of voice and equality of voice, right? And equity of voice means the people who want to speak and need to speak in a specific time can. Equality of voice means everybody gets the same amount of time, right? And so you have to have this way you have to have agreements and structures to really see how are we going to engage in collective intelligence and really be true to knowing is there a certain time period that we're going to give everybody? Is it just open? You just have to have these rules for how you're going to engage around bringing that knowledge forward. If not, you run the risk of not having all the ideas of the full intelligence come to the center of the table, and then you actually reaching an idea that really aligns with the direction that you want to go in.
Love it. Yeah, that's you gotta set the ground, you gotta set a firm foundation or fertile soil for the work of collective intelligence to operate, to function. You got to create a functional space in order for it to do what it's intended to do. I think that's really, really powerful, man. Kiwan, when you think about collective intelligence and like the way you're building different businesses and working with other organizations, how does that play out for you?
Yeah, for me, I think collective intelligence is important because I've seen organizations just completely go under because just one person feels like their voice is the only one that needs to be heard, or their vision is so crystal clear to the point where they can't really accept the ideas of other people. But what
Mhm.
I've seen go well from my own experience is, even if you are the person that knows it all, just leaving some breathing room for other people's ideas to come in and to be able to help you, change that system, change that product, change that service, and just testing out. Because first you do two things. I mean, you learn new things about something that you're building, and then you also have an opportunity to let other people help you build. And I think that that's really where true growth really comes from, is when you just allow other people to collectively bring their ideas into your vision. I mean, but still being able to stand firm on what you believe in, and stand true to the mission. But it's
Mm.
really through those other ideas that you let come in and penetrate the concept that really you allow that growth to come from.
Man, that's strong. That's strong. Okay. So my mind is going to adaptability. Um, when I think about spades, the players, you gotta constantly be able to adapt to changing situations, right? The dynamics are going to shift throughout the game. How can a leader develop the adaptability needed to respond to unexpected challenges in an organization? Davion, I can't imagine, like, as a VP, Fortune 500, like you're in this space where it's a massive organization with a ton of people. Everything's constantly changing, bro. How does that work?
My philosophy always, has been is that every day is a new day. You know what I'm saying? Like what was yesterday, was yesterday. Um, but you have to be able to adapt, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like Bruce Lee said, you have to be like water, you know what I'm
Sure.
saying? So you have to take on the form that's needed, you know what I'm saying? And as black people, I think that we're the most adaptable group of people on the planet, you know what I'm saying? Like, so as a black man, you know what I'm saying, I've always found that as a strong suit of mine. You know what I'm saying? It allowed me to relate to people in different ways. It allowed me to lead effectively because I understood as a leader, I'm not just a leader for the people, I'm a servant. You know what I'm saying? I'm somebody
Mhm.
who is only as strong as my weakest link, right? So if I can't go today, I gotta have a person who's ready in the wings. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at Bill Walsh, right? How many Super Bowls has he really won? You know what I'm saying? Like, look at
Mm.
his tree, right? So you look at the lineage, and so the people that I left at the company that I, retired from, 4 years ago, um, people were in the pipeline waiting. You know what I'm saying? And they were ready to quench that thirst. You know what I'm saying? Because I had put them through the trials and the errors. You know what I'm saying? And kind of, you know, if we talking about in terms of getting in shape, everybody was in shape. You know what I mean? So if you take me out and insert XYZ person, they might not look like me in terms of like how my facial features, but they ready to, do the job. So adaptability is important because as a leader and as somebody who's playing spades, somebody, they might have been going board the whole time, but it was a strategy to see how well you and your play, your partners played. You know what I'm saying? So how you play
Mhm.
your hand out. So you just got to be able to adapt to different situations. You know what I'm saying? And be okay, you know what I'm saying, with not having things the same way they were yesterday or 10 minutes ago. You know what I'm saying? You just have to be able to hit the ground running.
It's real. It's real. Kelly, what about you, man? What does adaptability look like in the work that you're doing?
So I take it to my like military experience because we did a lot of this type of thing, right? Just adjusting to tactics based on new intelligence that came in on the
Mm.
battlefield. Um, but in business, it's the same. It's like pivoting strategies, reallocating resources, adapting to market change, and all this other stuff. But in my space with my nonprofit, it's adapting to, okay, if I had a volunteer or a board member that I just got on and everything is going well, and then they say, see you later, I'm going out, I'm moving out of state. How do you adapt to that? So you have to have a list or a pool of people that you can pull from on the fly. You know what I'm saying? So it's not, and also to know yourself too. Like it's gonna be a stressful type of, you know, journey going in business or working for corporate or any type of industry you might be in, but knowing yourself, not really buckling to the pressures of all the changes that will come in your way. So I would say adaptability is to know yourself, to have a focus and calm mind to see through the storm. So
That's it. So, all right, that's fun. All right, so that's perfect. Perfect transition into this next point because I want to talk about building resilience and this idea that you got to be able to remain calm under pressure. And so, how can leaders cultivate resilience in themselves and their teams to navigate the inevitable challenges? Like challenges gonna come. Like the only constant is change, right? And as the changes come, the challenges come, and especially in this world of social venture, what does it mean to really be rooted in resilience and be calm under pressure? Ideally, I know you've got some expertise in this space that you leverage in the work that you do. Super curious about your perspective on it.
Yeah. So when we're operating in the space of strategic leadership development coaching or consulting, or I coach as well, um, really resilience, I look at it as being rooted in your connection to your why and the what you're getting out of the outcome as well. And so I believe as a team leader, it's really important to have conversations with teammates on how what their why connects to the greater mission of the company, right? Or the greater mission of the team or their development, right? Because I think that's one of the struggles, especially when you talk about like a big organization. It's hard to really stay connected with that. But I know that when I'm working with a variety of people, particularly Black men in leadership and who are emerging in leadership, it's really about having one-on-one conversations with folks to see what's your why, what has you connected in this space, and then if they're not 100% clear, helping them get to that place through conversation. It might not come in just one conversation. It might be a few to see how it's connected because it's about really building. We go back to that trust, building that trust, but then say, hey, this is where we're trying to go as a team. This is our mission. This is our directive. You said that through conversation, you're looking to grow in this area. So there might be, in terms of leadership development, there might be one or two things, skills or tasks or abilities they can strengthen in this one task that we're completing. And so my job as a leader or the team lead is to see how do I help them identify that, remind them of that, and hold them accountable to that. That then allows them would be motivation and encouragement to say, okay, I know why I'm here. I know what I am seeking to gain from this particular experience. It might not be the full goal or the outcome of the team because let's just be honest, like, you know, sometimes we're in positions where we don't, whether we get the goal or not is not a huge deal. We just want to keep our jobs, right? Like that's let's face it. Some of the work we do is awe-inspiring, and other times the work is just it is so that we can keep the lights on at home and take care of ourselves and the family and the people that we love, right? And if that's it, well then through conversations with my teammates, if that's all it is, well then I have to make sure that that's what I'm keeping them connected with, right? So your resilience, your effort, your determination during this time is connected to, you told me, and this is where the honest conversations really come. Like, I don't I was a classroom teacher for about 16 years, right? Before I moved into this consulting space. And I would tell, some people said, like teaching math, some teachers intent, like I wanted to get kids to love math, right? Or love their subject. And I was like, that's never really my goal. That's not my goal. My goal is to just get you connected to it just enough to say it wasn't boring. Just enough to say that, okay, I did this thing, right? It was not, and so a lot of times it came down to the kids doing homework. And if kids figured out they would do homework because they liked me, then that's all I needed. That was the resilience because it was the relationship that I had, not because they love the materials, not because they love the outcome. It's like I value the relationship that I have with a teacher. I would then lean on that, right? And say, this is how I can make sure that our relationship is strong to get them to be resilient to completing their homework and doing the best they can in the class. So it's really about making sure that you're able to get to someone's why. Why are they there in that particular moment? What keeps them there? And then motivating them along that pathway. I think that's been an effective practice for me and when I coach others.
I love it, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you. Shakir, I'm curious about your perspective on it. Just for context, Shakir is one of the most even keel, most calm under pressure brothers I might have ever met, man. I'm curious about like what allows you to sustain that level of resilience and how you prepare yourself to show up in the way that you do.
No, I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate the kind words. I think for me, and when I think about the context, and I think about the context of the work that I do, a lot of the work that I do around diversity, equity, and inclusion is grounded in multicultural competence. And multicultural competence has three components, and these components help with resiliency, right? So it's knowledge, skills, and awareness, right? So if you know what it is that ticks you off, then you need to be aware of when those triggers are in place, right? And then you also have to build the skill of resisting that temptation, right? You have to build the skill of not reacting in a way that's going to impact you directly. I think for me, what helps me to maintain that even keel is to recognize that, in that moment, losing it is not going to help me be successful, right? If everybody is running, I need to make sure I understand where we're running from or where we're running to, right? And at the same time, if everybody's panicking, then I need to be the one that's calm to make sure we don't miss a slight detail. And so that comes really from practice, and it comes from having an awareness of what's happening. I try to stay aware of my surroundings all the time so that I can understand and see where weak spots are. And then the other piece too is just practicing those skills on a regular basis, right? If I know how to give the Heimlich maneuver, then I can help somebody when they're choking, right? Or if I know what some challenges are that might happen, then I can help people avoid those challenges. So it's really that foundational knowledge, skills, and awareness that helps me to navigate. And I think that's what helps people navigate these processes, right? When you're in difficult situations, when you're in a situation, taking it back to the Spades example, your partner starts cutting books that you counted, right? You've got to be aware, okay, what can I do to stretch this out? Or you're cutting or somebody's cutting, you got to be ready, right? So you got to stay calm under pressure, right? And I think that's a process. You got to work on those muscles, right? It doesn't happen all the time. I think Kiwan was talking about the meditation and preparation before he's going to play a serious game, but that's a skill, right? And he's aware that might trigger him, so he's going to work on those skills and help him manage that because he has the knowledge that this environment might get me. But if I'm prepared and I'm working on these skills and I'm aware of that, then we're gonna be all right. So I think those are some ways that I am able to to be resilient when I need to, but it's not something that happens accidentally.
Yeah, I love it, man. Kiwan, why don't you chime in, man? I could tell he hit your heart when he said your partner was cutting. I could tell that caught you in the spirit, bro.
Yeah, man. I think that this is an important topic, resilience. And actually, while you guys were talking, I actually looked up the definition. I know we all know what it is, but it's the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties and also toughness. So I think that this is a perfect analogy between entrepreneurship and spades, just because you got to be ready. And I keep coming back to this notion that you never know the kind of hand you're gonna be dealt. So
Mhm.
it's like you got to take what you got and know how to play it. And also just having that resilience. If you don't have the hand, you got to trust your partner. And if your partner don't have the hand, you just gotta, hey, we just got to get through this game. And then we gonna take this L, and guess what? We gonna bounce back. We gonna work with what we got. And I think that's just a perfect lesson when it comes to leadership, because you got to know when to take the L, how to take the L. I know Davion, he like to talk to trash at the table. So you got to know how to get over the Davion hump, you know, because it's there. But nah, this is resilience on the space table as well as in entrepreneurship and all the other things we're doing. I can keep going down the list as to how it all goes hand in hand.
That's it. That's it.
And
Good
may I
stuff.
say something else? I think
Yeah,
another
yeah.
interesting thing is that a part of that resilience is it's the bounce back, right? It's like when you get bounced from the table, right? You sometimes want to remain with your partner. You go and you have a conversation and you talk about what are some things we can do differently as we begin to move forward. Sometimes resilience is an independent act where you say, you know what, especially as an entrepreneur, I got to regroup and say, was this the right partner for me to be sitting at the table with? Right. So there's a lot of and I don't think people should get rid of folks right away. Like there's discernment that you have to have with that, because you can't always choose your team that are there. But if you use the spades analogy, especially you show up at a friend's house or whatever, it's like you're finding new partners. And some of that is like, man, I want to get back on there and play again. And I might go around and show resilient behavior by investigating, finding for some other folks who want to do, or getting back to my partner and saying, hey, my bad. Listen, I dropped it. I missed that. Such, man, I've been drinking this brown and we were over here talking and I missed the fact that this led out and so on and so forth. And so it's like, it's also making amends for some mistakes, right? That is a part of also building that resilience muscle so that you get back on the table and dominate the next time.
That's it, man. 100%. You got to be able to bounce back. You got to be able to lean into the conversations that have to be had after the moment. Now, we're about 10 minutes until the hour, so I want to be conscious of time. I want to make some space for folks that are here in the audience to share some ideas, thoughts. Do me a favor. If you have a question, if you have a comment, idea you want to share, throw it in the chat. I want to make sure we give some energy to that. For sure. And this next piece I want to get into is risk and reward. I think like we're touching on this idea a little bit, but in spades, you got to carefully balance risk and reward when it comes to making those bids. I'm laughing because I was just playing spades at the last meeting. Them boys was underbidding, like I don't know what happened. It went crazy. But how can this principle be applied to decision making when it comes to leadership in these spaces? Davion, super curious about your perspective on this. Like when it comes to the risk and reward of leadership, like what does that look like for you?
So for me, I look at the risk as something that it's a calculated risk. You know what I'm saying? It's something that you may not want to throw all the cards on the table, but you definitely want to be able to, kind of like if you rigging or something. When I was in the army, we used to rig stuff up. So, you got to test to see, what I'm saying, how much weight can this hold? You know what I mean? So, a lot of times when you weigh the risk, you know what I'm saying, you may not know the outcome of the reward. You know what I'm saying? It may be more substantial than when you initially set out, you know what I'm saying, to see what you were invested in. So I think it's something that you have to be really careful about, because it's diligent work. You know what I mean? It's something that requires a lot of intense concentration and thought, you know what I'm saying, and persistence. So yeah, I mean that's kind of, any effective leader or anybody who wants to have any type of strategy is going to kind of look at the gauntlet and see what you got to go through, you know what I'm saying, to kind of weigh the risk and the reward, you know what I'm saying, and other things that may be intangibles, you know what I'm saying, that may come along with that, you know what I mean. So yeah, that's kind of my spiel.
I love it, man. Good stuff. Kelly, what about you, man? Risk and reward.
Man, hey, if you want it, go for it. That's what it's simple as that. But also you have to be calculated. You don't want to get into something that is just like over the top. You're not prepared for, and also this preparing your mindset for taking that risk. Because if you take the every risk you take, you're gonna have challenges, you're gonna have failures, and um, to this point, it's like you have to be able to like roll with the punches. You know what I'm saying? Like because if you don't make a move, that's the worst thing you can do for yourself. Not make a move at all. So making that move, even if it's a high risk, y- just know that you went forward. And then if you fail at it, get up, try again, keep going, be persistent, and trust in yourself too. And I just wanted to add something with the resilience thing,
Yeah.
not to get back off topic, but you want to show resilience to your team because if you don't, your whole team will fall apart. And then everything that you work for will fall apart because they're looking at you for guidance. They're looking at you for that leadership. They're looking at you to, okay, what is the next step? You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't have that resilience, you don't have anything. So I feel like that is a backbone of a leader is to be able to take on those many challenges and to continue to move forward, and to continue to train yourself too as well. So
So, man, it's the idea of being resilient, the idea of understanding the balance of risk and reward, I think is so critical to leading teams in a healthy way. I think we really underestimate the value of leadership and the role that it plays. And there's this thing that happens, and I don't think it's unique to any particular community or any demographic. I think we make a lot of assumptions about what leadership is supposed to look and feel like. And I think a lot of people dive into the role of leadership without a clear understanding of what it actually means to lead an organization, lead a charge, lead an initiative. And we miss these opportunities to step in to create clarity, recognize clarity as a form of kindness. We miss these opportunities to lean into our understanding of the balancing of risk and reward. We miss these opportunities to leverage resilience and calmness and how that impacts the work that we do. Uh, and so it's really, I think, affirming to me to be in a space where we can explore these ideas and talk through these things in a way that, gets everybody just familiar with the idea that, like, yeah, while we playing spades, we gonna have a good time. We're gonna talk a lot of trash. We're gonna like enjoy ourselves, but also we can walk away from that table with a newfound understanding of how we lead the work that we do. So I appreciate y'all like making time to be a part of this conversation and like diving in, sharing some wisdom and insights, man. And I appreciate everybody who made the time to just join the conversation, just joining the audience to be here to see how this conversation goes, what plays out, what wisdom you can pull from the table as we discuss. Ayodele, one of our featured guests, did have to run, but he wanted to make sure that we share that he's hosting a series conversations for Black men that are emerging leaders in their profession. It's called Leadership Lab. He's got a link to the application to participate in that. So if you're interested, you can look for that link in the chat. What I'll plan to do is I'll send an email after this event to the folks who registered so that you all get access to that link, because I want to make sure that we can spread the word about that. Nah, man. Kiwan sent a note in the chat that I finished this book. First of all, it's a lot. All right. Goggins put a lot in this right here, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm still,
Goggins, wow.
bro. It's like I'm just getting into it. It's a great story. I really love it. But honestly, like I done set myself with a lot of reading to do. Like I'm trying to get through these right here. I'm putting myself through a mini masters right now. It's like,
I got you.
look,
Talking about resilience, man. That Goggins book is a good one for that one. But you know, Goggins is take it with a grain of salt, because Goggins is a different type of human. So
whole nother breed, man. A whole nother breed. It's good stuff though. Listen, we got 2 minutes left. Ooh, eat what feeds you and spit out the rest. I like that. Spit out the rest 100%. I heard somebody say, eat the meat, spit out the bones. Somebody say, eat the fruit, spit out the seeds. It said a number of different ways, but the power is in the message. Shakir, Davion, Kelly, Kiwan, truly appreciate you, brothers, man, making time to be here, to just share your wisdom and insights, to share your time and space with me. It means a whole lot. I don't take it lightly. And, I hope I can find ways to return the favor and just continue to be a blessing and support one another, man. We got to find ways to stay connected. I think there's a lot of power in that. If you were here just in the audience to listen and learn, please, I highly encourage you to look these folks up, get to know each and every one of us, get to know each other, and take advantage of the opportunity to be connected with good people. E. Howard Co. is an organization that I started because, golly, my son was being born, and I was in a panic about how I was going to sustain life for real. And this was 2012, right? So 2014, I start the business. 2021, I went full-time doing this thing, providing strategy, providing facilitation, and providing some guidance. And I'm really inspired by the opportunity to just lean into this work and make a real impact on people's lives, but also by the opportunity to bring attention to the gems of men and women and people who I get to connect with and collaborate with and build with. So just know that I have a ton of reverence and inspiration that just comes from being in your presence and being in community with all of y'all. And looking forward to figuring out how we keep things moving, how we stay connected, and how we make things happen in the future, man. Y'all stay blessed, keep doing big things. And that's all I got.
Hey, set up that Spades game now, man. Come on, you can't get us on here and not set up the Spades game now. You got me.
We got to get in person.
Win the date for the Spades game, man.
We got to make it happen. We got to do something in person, man, and get a Spades game going for real. That'll be a good look.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
Appreciate
Salute
you, man.
to all y'all brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate all y'all, man. You know what I mean? And everybody in the audience. I was gonna say that I got a quote that I did years and years ago. You know what I'm saying? I had to put that thing on paper, man. But my quote is people are not moved to make change until their misery factor exceeds their fear factor. You know what I'm saying? So and that's something, you know what I'm saying, that I got shirts made with it, you know what I'm saying? And I really believe that. I live by that, you know what I'm saying? So that's just a little tidbit for me, you know what I'm saying, to y'all, but that's kind of how I live, man. So it is what it is.
I love it. I appreciate it. Y'all stay blessed, man. We're gonna talk soon. Y'all take care.
All right, thank you, Ernest. Thank you, everyone.